Hello, Greek students. Welcome to week 11 in our class. There's a couple things I need to address sort of business keeping wise before we move on to the content for the week. The first is that, and you may be viewing this video after you've already attended the events with Dr. Emerson Powery. I sent out an email about this, is that there are sort of two opportunities for you to get minor assignment credit for each one of those events. So if you attended those events, I ask that you just do a brief write-up, a brief sort of reflection for each one. So if you went to both events, you want to get two minor assignment credits, you need to write up two separate reflections. There's two separate drop boxes. But what I want you to do is sort of just reflect on how Dr. Powery's, either his workshop or his lecture connects with something that you have learned in this class. So what connections did you make between what Dr. Powery has said about Luke and Acts with what we have done in this course? And the other bits of sort of housekeeping that we need to do is that there are some different signups on the top of the course page for this week. One is a sign up for the text that you might want to do your New Testament presentation on. I have not limited the text, that the number of people or number of students that can sign up for any one text. But I would ask that if you don't have a preference about what text, or if you don't have a strong feeling about a text that you want to present on, and you go to that sign up and you find that no one has signed up for a particular text yet, I'd ask that you consider doing that. We really want to get every text presented on, so that we have at least one, preferably more than one person presenting on each of those texts up there. That is to say, though, if you do have a strong preference and you really do want to present on a particular text, that there's something you really want to dig in on, I'm totally okay with that. But I ask that if you don't have a preference, that you do go ahead and choose a text that is not well signed up for, as it were. And as a reminder for that presentation, there's two options for how you might complete it. One is by attending a synchronous meeting. So I've set up three different days or dates and times. And there's also a sign up for those dates and times. I've tried to make them I made them on different days and at different times to sort of give us the most flexibility, and hopefully one of those dates and times works for you, where you can present synchronously to me and also to your peers. So whether or not you present in a given session, you can by all means attend a session. That you don't have to be presenting in a session to attend it. But if you are presenting in a session, I ask that you attend the whole thing, that you come. We're not going to do sort of signups for particular time periods, but rather I ask that everyone sort of that's presenting at that date and time come and hear everyone else's presentation. So this is the synchronous option for doing this presentation if you didn't want to record something. Doing the synchronous option will be on Zoom. You'll have the opportunity to share your screen and lead us in discussion, or do whatever that you want to do to complete those specifications for the assignment. The other option is to do an asynchronous version of your presentation, and that is to record it and then either upload it to YouTube or MediaSite, or you can, if you find a way to send it over to me, I can also upload it to YouTube if that's sort of beyond your pay grade. As a student, I'm happy to do that for you. If you can find a way to sort of get the file over to me through the magic of the internet, then I can put it up onto YouTube for you, and then students can view it from there. But the purpose of this is so that we're covering those texts that I am not explicitly lecturing on for the class, and also to give you a chance to dig deeper on particular texts and to learn more. We tend to learn more about things when we actually teach it to someone else. So this is an opportunity for you to deepen your learning on a particular text. So those signups are there. I ask that you, if you're planning to do a New Testament presentation, that you sign up so that I get a sense of who's doing what and who is doing what when. All right, so that's all housekeeping. On to what we have going on for this week. This week we continue on with Paul, and particularly with Galatians and Romans. So we have a lecture each on Galatians and Romans, their historical context, their purposes, and their themes. And we also have, before these two lectures, a lecture on the different perspectives on Paul. These are the so-called Lutheran or old perspective, the new perspective, and the radical new perspective on Paul. And these are three different ways, though not mutually exclusive ways, that you can sort of, there's some overlap between these three different perspectives, as you will see. So one of the lectures is going to introduce these three different perspectives, and you're going to read for this week Krister Stendahl's Paul and the Introspective Conscience of the West, which is this sort of classical piece of biblical literature that really biblical scholarship that sort of kicked off the so-called new perspective on Paul, and it's really just a sort of a wonderful bit of scholarship, whether or not you agree with Stendahl. It's just sort of a really cutting and a really well done piece of scholarship. So you're going to be reading that with respect to the perspectives. Then we of course have our other readings for the week. We have some other sort of summary readings of what the different perspectives on Paul are, and particularly the new perspective. And then your primary source readings of Romans and Galatians. And as I've indicated on the Moodle page the last 2 weeks, there are some Pauline texts that I do not explicitly lecture on in this class. And I strongly recommend that you go ahead and read those during these weeks, that you spend some time with those other Pauline texts. And the things that we're talking about with Paul and with different letters, you're going to see are also very relevant for your own reading of the letters that we're not explicitly addressing in the class. And then the last objective for the week is to sort of take more than one of the perspectives on Paul and apply it to a particular passage from Galatians or Romans. This is really what I'm going to ask you to sort of do in the forums, that you are thinking with the different perspectives on Paul and thinking with how they might affect a particular passage from Romans or Galatians. So that is, how would one perspective read the particular passage that you choose in comparison to another perspective on Paul. So you're doing a sort of compare and contrast kind of thing and making some hypotheses about the different kind of readings that would come from these different perspectives on Paul. So as to what we have going on, no major assignments this week. We have our course notes, and we have our forums, and the forums is where you're really going to sort of get your hands dirty with the perspectives on Paul and particular passages from Galatians or Romans. There's going to be 2 separate forums, one for Galatians, one for Romans. You only have to make an initial post in one or the other. You're of course welcome to make an initial post in both, and you can respond to peers in either forum. So sort of starting out in one or doing your initial post in one doesn't necessarily commit you to that forum, but it is a way for us to separate out the 2 different texts. So that's what we have going on, and I will see you in the forums.